Let's talk about grapes, not just any grape. The red globe, titans of the table grape world. They're big, they're round, vibrant crimson color that screams "eat me." Seen them at the grocery piled perfect? But where do they come from? Not a factory, not magic. The story begins in sprawling vineyards, nestled in mountain ranges. Air is clean, sun is generous. This isn't just a farm, it's a managed ecosystem, a living, breathing work of art, nature, human grit. Together they create something special. Everything starts with the soil. You can't grow exceptional grapes in mediocre ground. Before a single vine is planted, the land must be prepared. It's a job for heavy machinery and serious manpower. Tractors rumble across the fields. Powerful plows dig deep into the earth. They till the soil, breaking up compacted dirt, churning it into a fine, aerated foundation. This process is crucial. It allows water to penetrate deep, ensures proper drainage, makes it easier for the young roots to spread out and anchor themselves firmly. The ground is being awakened, prepared to become a nursery for thousands of future vines. Once the land is tilled and ready, the planting begins. This isn't done with seeds but with young grapevines, saplings with leaves. These young plants are vulnerable and need a good start. Workers move down the rows, placing each vine into the earth. They ensure each is planted at the right depth, and given enough space from its neighbors. It's systematic and rhythmic, yet gentle. These saplings are the future of the vineyard. Preparation doesn't stop with tilling. The soil is enriched with nutrients to build strong root systems. Think of it as feeding a newborn. This investment pays dividends for years. Healthier plants, tastier fruit. The vineyard is laid out in a precise grid, a network of trellises and wires that will support heavy fruit. It's agricultural science and good old-fashioned manual labor working together, all designed to create the ideal home for red globe grapes. Once the vines are in the ground and start to grow, the real artistry begins. This is where pruning comes in, and it's one of the most critical jobs in the vineyard. As the vines grow, their leaves and shoots spread out in every direction. If left unchecked, the plant would become a tangled mess of foliage. So workers armed with sharp shears move through the rows, carefully trimming the leaves. This isn't just about making things look neat, it's a strategic process. By removing excess leaves, they allow sunlight and air to reach the parts of the vine where the grapes will eventually form. It's a delicate balance between leaving enough leaves for photosynthesis, while ensuring the budding fruit isn't hidden in the shadows. It's not just the leaves that get trimmed. As the vine matures, it sends out new shoots, especially near the base of the main stalk. These lower shoots, often called suckers, are bad news for grape quality. They are thieves, stealing precious water and nutrients from the soil before they can travel up to the main branches where the fruit is developing. If left to grow, they weaken the entire vine, disrupt air circulation around the base and ultimately lead to smaller, less flavorful grapes. So the farmers methodically remove every single one. After all that preparation and pruning, the magic really starts to happen. The first sign of a future harvest appears in the form of tiny, delicate flowers. These blossoms emerge in clusters all over the carefully cultivated vines, a fragrant promise of what's to come. It's a critical and vulnerable stage in the grape's life cycle. A late frost, a heavy storm, a lack of pollinators. The farmers watch over the vineyard with a hopeful but anxious eye, knowing that the success of the season hangs in the balance. But with the right conditions, these humble flowers will soon undergo a remarkable transformation. Slowly but surely the flowers give way to fruit. Each tiny blossom transforms into a small, hard, green berry. At this stage, they look nothing like the giant red globes they are destined to become. They are just small, green pellets, the very beginning of a grape cluster. As the days grow longer and the sun warms the vineyard, these infant grapes begin to swell. The vines, now directing all their energy upwards thanks to the meticulous pruning, pump nutrients and water into these developing clusters. It's a quiet, gradual process, a slow-motion miracle unfolding on thousands of vines at once. This is the period of rapid growth. The once tiny berries start to expand, growing bigger and heavier with each passing day. The clusters begin to take on their familiar shape, hanging gracefully from the branches. The color starts to change, a process known as veraison, as the green berries slowly blush with hints of red. This is a visual confirmation that the sugars are developing inside the fruit and ripeness is on its way. The vineyard, which was once a sea of green foliage and white flowers, is now dotted with the emerging colors of the harvest, a beautiful sight for the hard-working farmers. Watching this transformation is like watching a masterpiece being painted in slow motion. Here's a concept that might seem counterintuitive. To get more, you have to take some away. Just because a vine is loaded with grape clusters doesn't mean it's a good thing. In fact, it's the opposite. If a vine is allowed to grow every single bunch of grapes that it produces, it will spread its resources too thin. The result would be a large quantity of small grapes. Sour grapes, generally, unimpressive grapes. Quality, not quantity, is the name of the game here. So the farmers must make a difficult but necessary choice. They must sacrifice some of the fruit for the greater good of the harvest. This process is known as thinning or cluster removal. Workers move through the vineyard, inspecting each vine with a critical eye. They are looking for clusters that are too small, misshapen, growing too close together. Armed with their shears, they carefully snip off these excess bunches, letting them fall to the ground. It can be painful to watch perfectly good-looking fruit being discarded, but it's an essential act of agricultural triage. By removing the weaker clusters, the vine can now pour all of its energy, its sugars, water, nutrients, into the remaining, more promising bunches. Growing world-class grapes is a daily commitment. A relentless cycle of care and attention. You can't just plant a vine and hope for the best. The vineyard is a living thing, and it has daily needs that must be met, especially when it comes to the lifeblood of all agriculture, water. In these vast, sun-drenched mountain regions, rainfall might not be enough. That's where human intervention becomes critical. Every day, water trucks roll through the vineyard, their long arms extending over the rows of vines. They release a fine spray, showering the plants with life-giving water. This isn't a flood, it's a controlled mist that hydrates the soil and washes the dust from the leaves. This daily watering ritual is essential for keeping the vines strong and healthy, particularly under the intense heat of the mountain sun. The water nourishes the roots, fueling growth and helping produce the sugary sap that plumps the grapes. Without consistent hydration, the vines would wilt, and the fruit would shrivel before it ever had a chance to ripen. It's a massive logistical operation coordinating trucks and water across hundreds of acres, but it's a non-negotiable part of the process. It's a dirty, often muddy job, but it's the difference between a failed crop and a bountiful harvest. Sun, air, water. And this is where all the earlier work of pruning pays off. After months of planting, pruning, watering, waiting, the moment everyone has been working toward finally arrives, the harvest. This is the culmination of an entire season's worth of backbreaking labor. The timing has to be perfect. Pick the grapes too early and they'll be sour and hard. Wait too long and they can become overripe and mushy. Farmers walk the rows daily, testing the fruit for sweetness, color, firmness. They are looking for that peak moment of ripeness when the red globes are bursting with flavor and have that signature crunch. It's a decision based on science experience, a finely honed instinct. When the time is right, the harvest begins, and it's an all-hands-on-deck operation. When you look at a perfect bunch of red globe grapes, it's easy to admire the work of nature, the vibrant color, the impressive size, the sweetness. It all seems so natural. But there's a powerful, unseen ingredient in every single grape: the farmer's dedication. This isn't a job you can do from 9 to 5. Farming is a lifestyle, a 24/7 commitment governed by the seasons, the weather, and the needs of the plants. It's a profession that demands a unique blend of skills. You have to be a biologist, a mechanic, a meteorologist, and a manual laborer, all at the same time. The patience required is monumental. From planting a young sapling to harvesting its fruit can take years.